Hey guys, it's Melanie. So I obviously have one eye done here. You guys seem to really like the last neutral eye tutorial that I did, so I decided to do another one for today. I did choose something other than Viseart. That is definitely a particular range of eyeshadows that I have been using a lot as of late. But I know not everybody is, it's not at everybody's price point. So I wanted to show you guys just a really classic, very neutral, everyday eye look using one of these smaller Smashbox cover shot eyeshadow palettes. This one right here is just the matte eye palette. This has some really beautiful neutral shades in it. Nothing in here is overly warm. Nothing in here is overly cool. It is very neutral, very in the middle. And so I feel like this is a good kind of meeting point between cool and warm. I don't tend to love warm eyeshadows as much as a lot of other people do. I tend to lean more towards the neutral, cool end of the spectrum, but I think that a lot of people can look really great in a neutral eye. I think you just kind of have to play with it and see what color combinations work for you. And I just wanted something that, like I said, was just very easy, something that you could do very quickly, something that worked for you for, you know, during the day when you're in an office setting or whatever else your job is, and you just want kind of a great neutral eye look. So that's what I'm gonna be doing today. If you guys are curious about what is on the rest of my face, I will link all of that stuff down below. So you can find that information down there. I'm gonna go ahead and get into it. Obviously, I already primed my eye. When I prime my eyes, I will use one of these two options right here today. I happen to use the Too Faced Shadow Insurance. This is a staple for me because I have really oily eyelids, and if I don't use a primer, basically any eyeshadow and whatever else I have around my eye area just melts off. It's kind of gross, but this is wonderful. And right after I apply this, I will typically set that primer with just whatever powder I'm using. And right now I'm using the Airbrush Flawless Finish Powder from Charlotte Tilbury. So I'll just use a fluffy brush. I use this one right here. And I just kind of run that over where the primer is, and it sets that. And I just find that it makes all the other eyeshadows that I put over top blend a lot easier. So there we go. All right, so I am taking a Sigma E25 blending brush, and I'm going to go in with a mix of two different shadows. I'm going in with this kind of nicely muted purple, which I believe is called Publisher, and then this neutral brown called Editor. So I'm just gonna basically pick up some of this shadow. So I just kind of swiped in both. And then what I like to do is tap the shadow into the brush. So I want that pigment to fall in between the bristles so that it's not sitting right on top. I find that that helps me with blending. And then I'm just gonna place that where I want it first. So by placing, I mean, I just kind of pat it onto the specific areas where I'm wanting to concentrate the color. I'm not blending quite yet. Like I said, I'm just placing it. So once I get the general placement, I go ahead and I start blending it a little bit. I think it's better to start out with maybe less shadow and work your way up. You can't really take eyeshadow away. You can keep blending it, and eventually it's just gonna kind of look muddy. So it's better to start out with like smaller amounts of shadow and build it up. Just gives you a little bit more control. So I'm just blending that in. And you'll notice that I was just putting the shadow on the outer, almost half of my lid up into the crease and just slightly higher towards like this outer corner. What that does for me is it gives me a somewhat lifted look to the outer corner of my eye, almost like a slight cat eye effect. It's not dramatic and it's not going to be super noticeable because this is pretty blended. So, but this particular technique may not look good on your eye shape. So do what works for your eye shape or what your personal preference is. So I'm just gonna go ahead and build this up a little bit more. So go back into that purple and that neutral brown and just tap that into, and once again, place. Each time I put something down before I blend it, I place it where I want it first and then go from there. So combining those two colors gives me this really pretty neutral purpley brown, which I like. You certainly don't have to mix the colors if you don't want to. Now with what I have left, I'm going to stick with my socket line and bring that shadow in so that I have a smooth transition in my crease from this darker outer area to this inner corner area of my eye. So there really isn't much eyeshadow left, but just enough to add some depth without being too harsh. Okay, so I want this to be just a slightly smoother transition going up. So I'm gonna take another like fluffy brush that is clean. Well, this one's not clean because it's been used, but what I did is I went into this shade right here. What is this one called? Deadline. It's almost like a skin colored, and I just put a little bit on this fluffy brush. Once again, I tap so that the shadow falls into the bristles. And I'm gonna place that around the edges of that outer corner color that we put down. So I don't wanna like blend into that too much. I just wanna essentially soften the edges, if that makes sense. And you can do that very easily with a nice, cleaner, fluffy brush like this. If you had another like blending brush, like you could also use this. I mean, you don't have to use anything that looks like this if you don't have it, or if you don't want to, you can just blend with another blending brush. Okay, so I feel like that mostly matches. I think this has a little bit more of the purple on this side, so I'm gonna go ahead and go in with just a touch of that purple and lay that down, and yeah, there we go. Just that little tiny bit matched up. I actually did this eye like 2 hours ago. I've been walking around the house with just this eye done, but I had some other things to take care of. So, all right, so pretty easy. I will say, so here is my plug for the Viseart eyeshadows. I don't find that I have to blend quite as long with those. These are great eyeshadows, but I do find myself needing to blend just a little bit longer. So there's that. Anyway, I'm going to go in with the shade Angles right here. This is just like a mauve-y skin color almost, and I'm using a Esom W23 brush. And I'm just kind of packing that on there, and that is what I'm going to put on my lid from the inner corner to just where that darker shade starts to transition in towards the inner corner. So I'm kind of trying to like make the two meet in the middle, and I'm gonna blend them together because I want a nice neutral, natural transition. Nothing like, you know, like I don't want there to be like a definition, if that makes sense. between the two shades. So again, with that blending brush, not adding anything else to it, I'm just gonna go back in and kind of soften those edges. It's weird not doing the other eye at the same time. I noticed in my last video that the eyes were slightly different. Obviously, you know, try as much as possible to get them to look the same. I'm just taking a small angle brush and I'm going to take a little bit of that purple shade, that publisher shade, and get rid of most of the excess, and I'm just gonna line my lower lash line. I'm not looking for a harsh line here, just a little bit of depth. And I am just putting this probably like the outer 2/3. There we go. And then I'm gonna go in with a clean Q-tip and kind of minimize that even more because I don't want any harsh lines. I'm just looking for a little bit of depth there, nothing crazy. And a Q-tip makes that really easy to kind of take down and blend out. All right, next step is the liner. I'm just going to use the Work It shade. So this dark, like charcoal black here. I'm going to tap off most of that excess, and I'm just going to line my lash line with this. I said in my last tutorial that I don't really like pencils because they just tend to melt on me. I haven't worn pencil liners for a really long time, and I honestly don't miss them. And just with the oily nature of my lids, powders just work better. So I'm just placing that along the lash line, sort of working it in. I'm trying not to make too big of a mess. I do get some fallout when I do this, so you always want to make sure to clean up the side of your nose if you're using like a darker powder to do your liner. It does get like flicked off as you're working it in. You can see a tiny bit of powder coming off, and that tends to, on me, land over here. There are times when I forget to clean it up, and then I will look in the mirror halfway through the day and I see all these little black speckles. Not flattering, but most of the time just a fluffy brush with a little bit of powder, so just a tiny bit of powder on it, will get rid of it. So that's super easy for me to flick away. I also use powder foundation, which is helpful. And then if there's any flecks remaining, I just kind of go in and pick them up with a Q-tip. So just kind of clean that up a little bit. Definitely a step that you don't want to miss because you're gonna have this beautiful eyeshadow look and then all these like little speckles. Just go back in and put down a little more powder foundation in case I rub that off. All right, I am going to take my blending brush one more time and just go over where I placed the liner to blend it out just a little bit. I like a very diffused look to my liner, so I find that to be helpful, and I think I just blended that a tiny bit too much, so I'm just going to take what's left and build that up a little bit. All right, there you go. I feel like this looks pretty good, so I'm going to go ahead and put on some mascara. I'm using a combination of 2 mascaras today. You obviously don't have to do that. This is the Stila Huge Extreme Lash Mascara. This one is definitely very volumizing. I don't find it to be too clumping, but there are times where It does deposit just a tiny bit more than I want it to, but it's easy enough to take care of. But it wears really well throughout the day. There's no clumping, transferring, smudging. I think I actually already recorded a Mascara Monday on this. You may have seen the review of this already. All right, so got that first coat on. Then I'm gonna go in with the Buxom Lash Mascara. This guy right here. I am a mascara mixer. You don't have to do this. And I'm also kind of really picky with the way my mascara looks. Like I have to have a very separated lash look. I don't like clumpy lashes. I had a girlfriend, well, I still have a girlfriend, my friend Julie from college. She, oh my God, she used to make me cringe with her mascara. I would give her so much crap. She would literally have these like spider leg lashes, and I would give her the hardest time because I was like, please just let me take my lash comb to your lashes. She's like, no, I like it. I think she actually still wears mascara this way. She would literally just like rub it on, and whatever got on there was what stayed. And I was like, ah, it's like my worst nightmare. And makeup is obviously super personal. She loved it. She loved that look, but I just couldn't, I couldn't with that. Stressed me out. We lived together too for a few years, and watching her do her mascara was always like I had to walk away. But I love her and she knows it. There is plenty that she could tease me about, and the amount of time that I used to take to get ready before class and like before work and stuff was insane. She'd be like, can't you? Wouldn't you rather be sleeping right now than putting on makeup? And I'd be like, no, this is fun. We were polar opposites in some ways, but anyway, I miss Julie. She lives in Fiji now, so her husband works for a hotel chain and they got transferred to Fiji of all places. She has two cute little boys, and seeing her send all these pictures of the boys playing on the beach and their tropical Christmas and stuff, it's so cool. I really should go visit her, but that is a long plane ride to Fiji. All right. Oh, you see, this is where I'm gonna get like all tricky. Okay, this really doesn't matter that much, so I'm gonna leave it alone. Looks fine. Okay, guys, so this is the finished look here, and I like it. This is just a great everyday natural eye look that I think basically anybody could pull off. Again, great for an office setting, great just if you're on the go. These palettes are really nice. They're under $30. The other one that I pulled out for my current Shop My Stash is the Sultry Eye palette. This one's really beautiful too. This does have a slightly cooler tone to it. It's really pretty as well, but this one, if you're looking for just a super neutral palette that is very easy, maybe something great to travel with, I'd pick this one up. They're all matte. This is an all matte eye. I tend to like matte shadows. I think these are softer and creamier. I don't think that they accentuate crepiness quite as much as some other matte eyeshadows do. So anyway, just a little plug for these guys if you've never tried them. I know that they're not the latest and greatest, and they're not the most super exciting, but they are great just for something that you know is gonna work. So anyway, I will once again link the rest of this situation in the description box down below. Hopefully you found this helpful. I will try to do some more of these videos. And let me know if you guys have maybe a preference for a palette that you want to see a neutral eye tutorial with. Things that I have right now in my everyday makeup drawer also include the Lorac Pro, so like this old guy here and the Modern Renaissance. I'm willing to bet that a lot of you have both of these palettes in your collection. So let me know if you want to see either one of these, or if there's another one that you know I have in my collection that you're interested in seeing. I do plan on doing an updated like makeup collection video here in the next like couple of weeks. So, you know, you'll be able to see all the palettes I have at that point. But anyway, thanks so much for taking the time to watch, and I will see you guys in my next video. Take care. Bye-bye.